TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes. Oh my God, let me say this and then I'll tell you what's going on. The podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I'm your host, Patrick Murtagh. Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ, it's been over a year. And it's simple. My brain is throbbing right now. I seem to have caught whatever is going around my cast. And at first I was thinking maybe it's just allergies. Maybe it's allergies. I lied. I lied to myself. And I am just so congested and my chest is tickling. And last night I had to perform like this and I was just hopped up on Dayquil and lozenges and honey water and everything you can do. And then I woke up this morning even worse. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? And then I was like, hey, wait, you got insurance. I was like, oh wait, yeah, I got really good insurance right now. So take advantage of that because I have lived a long time without good insurance. And so I still have to remind myself, like, hey, you can call a doctor. So I called the little like helpline, doctor hotline, whoever's available hotline, and got myself an antibiotic. I have been, sucking down honey water. And just hydrating. And I'm going to now work Dayquil back into my rotation because, part of my ADHD journey is I want to make sure that the medicine is a little out of my system before I put in another stimulant into it, which I Googled. You can take Dayquil and the medicine I'm on for ADHD at the same time, but it says it might make your heart beat a little faster. So I'm like, I'm gonna just wait till this is out of my system and then take the Dayquil. But sounding fine, sounding better than when I woke up, doing my remedies. And it's just, the timing of it. I have been all last weekend when people were falling like flies with what we thought was allergies and the shift in the temperature and all that. And the first actress to kind of fall was really just being hard on herself, was being so hard on herself that she wasn't feeling 100%, felt that she wasn't able to sing like she knows she can, felt she was like letting people down. And it's like, baby girl, no, you're wonderful. I get the fear. So please feel everything you're feeling and don't make yourself feel bad for what you're feeling. But let me give some of this back to you and tell you what I'm hearing. All right. And just helping her to talk from the ledge. Because again, having had so many years without health insurance and being an old Hispanic woman in my soul, having been raised by old Hispanic women my entire life, I am full of remedies. I am full of homemade remedies, which I always go to first. But if you need medicine, you need medicine. So I have the remedies for the body, for the voice, and also for the mind, of quieting a neurotic mind when you're not feeling well and you have to go on. So I just mentioned, I said, hey, there's a difference. And I've heard you sing. You sang your song and you're beating yourself up about it, and you shouldn't, because literally, if nobody knew, no one would know because you sound amazing. And let me just, again, I'm not a doctor, but I just want to calm your mind a little bit. There is a difference in irritation in your throat, around the vocal folds, in your sinuses. That irritation is separate than any damage or irritation or inflammation on the vocal folds. I am hearing you phonate, and you have a set of healthy vocal folds. You are phonating, you are doing all these things. So just know you're safe, because I know that's scary too. I know that's scary. So you're okay. The thing that is annoying is that there's irritation and burning and tickling around, and your brain is just seeing that it's in the same general area. So you're triggered and you're thinking, am I doing damage? What I need you to do is, just as best you can, while feeling exactly what you're feeling, because that's normal, is just to remind yourself, I'm okay. And that this is irritation around my voice, not irritation of my voice. And what I need you to do is back off. I need you to back off whatever you think you're going to do to get around it. I need you to just focus on singing. And what I mean by singing is sending air out. Just send easy, consistent air out. Focus on the exhale. The inhale will always happen. Your body will always breathe in. We run into trouble when we forget to breathe out. So send the air out, anticipate the word and the pitch you need for each line so you're ahead of it, and boom, and just keep focusing on boom. What's my ha 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 ha? And you got look at you got ha, you got it. I woke up with fucking gunk and I'm doing that like you got it. All right. So I just need you, if you're gonna beat yourself up, I need you to have the angel on your shoulder to tell you you're okay. And then that seemed to be helpful. And then I reached out. I sent some voice memos after the show to be like, also, in addition to that, don't do every remedy. Don't pick a remedy. If you're going to sip some herbal tea and this and that, but don't be trying all the different cough drops. Don't be trying all the medicines. Don't be trying all the gargles. All right, we want to be gentle on this area. We want to reduce inflammation and soothe. So warm liquids, we're going to hydrate, we're going to relax, we're going to do everything we can, but we're not going to irritate it by putting too much acidic things on it. So if you want a little bit of lemon to help reduce the swelling, great, you get one. Everything else after that is just honey and hot water. All right, and just don't overdo it and you'll be fine. And pick something and stick with it and trust everything I told you before. Next day, my fellow tenor one. Oh, I got phlegm. Oh God, it's gonna get in the way. Lather, rinse, repeat. Baby, baby, baby. Come here, let me talk to you. Now listen, there's a difference between irritation of the throat, of the sinuses, and irritation of your vocal folds. That phlegm is there, and that's fine. And it'll come, it'll go, it'll sit, it'll stay out of the way. You don't know what it's going to do. What you know you can do is you can send air. You can anticipate the next pitch. You anticipate the next vowel, word, all that. You stay focused and don't try to micromanage the situation, because that's when the phlegm comes out. You don't know what it's going to do, so you just keep singing. That motherfucker sang like a goddamn bird. He opens the show and he's like, farewell, farewell, and singing, floating that A flat, A flat, I think it is, or A, whatever it is, sang like a goddamn bird. And I felt proud of myself. Like, I know it's not about me, but like, I felt like, wow, I've become that person. I always talk about, the fact that I'm 105, and, my friend Marty, who has been this person for me to talk me off the ledge and to be part of building that skill set of working around a neurotic mind when you're not feeling well. And just one of part of my circle for self-care. I was sharing this experience with her, and I was like, I feel different. And on top of that, like, we had our opening weekend, and my cast members, like, on top of just like congratulating each other, they kept saying thank you. Like, thank you for being a good role model. Thank you for being a grounded presence in a sometimes chaotic rehearsal environment. Thank you, thank you. And I was like, what's that? And along with this story about, being there to help with these younger performers work around a neurotic mind in performance, Marty's like, one day you're the kid. You're the kid that needs to do everything right. You need to hit every note. You need to boom, boom, boom. You need to be on top of that. You're the kid for a long time in a show. And then, almost out of nowhere, you're the adult. You're the person that everyone looks up to, and it just happens out of nowhere, and it's your turn. And I felt like, what an amazing rite of passage. And like, isn't this amazing? Until it got to this weekend. And now I'm like, oh, fuck, who do I turn to? Oh, hi, Sean. Hi, Mirror. You know that advice you just gave everyone? Take a little spoonful of that yourself. And that's what I've been doing. And last night, I had people coming to see the show, and it was just like, if you're going to crack, you're going to crack. If no sound's going to come out, no sound's going to come out. But what you can focus on is sending air, is sending this. And you know what? I don't think it was perfect, whatever is perfect, but I will say there were some areas where my voice felt freer because I backed off, because I was taking my own advice, because I'm not over remedying it. I have my hot water with honey right next to me. I've been having my electrolytes all day, sparingly having the throat lozenges. And I am having chicken soup for dinner, and I cannot wait. What was the point of all that? Yeah, I guess it was one of those like growing moments in theater, and just to be part of this community and this cast, and to I guess also what I want to talk about is as I've been mentioning to people who've been seeing the show, who have been excited for me doing the show, is like it's my first show in LA, and these are my first theater friends in LA. This is my first cast, and to have such a well-rounded experience in this first cast. Just what a dream. And it's so sad because here we are already at closing weekend, and it's just boom, boom, boom. That's it. 2 weekend runs. It's the joy of performing in any way you can, and also the bittersweetness of every show, even long-running ones, have to come to an end at some point. But I am just so grateful. And as I mentioned last week, the reality of the fact that I had that beautiful time off from work, and I was just focusing on my bookkeeping clients and mostly focusing on my performing life, and knowing that like I have to go back to work and dreading it. And the day came. This past Tuesday, I went back to work, and I just woke up uneasy. I woke up with anxiety around having to go work. Woke up just being like, this is going to be a shit show. And I got in the car and like, this is going to suck. And it sucks that I have to do this. And I get to work, and it just sucked. It just sucked because I knew it was going to suck. And I get there, and it's kind of messy. All the usual things are there. It was actually really funny. One of my work besties, my work boyfriend. I had my work husband. I had my work boyfriend. He was there doing his setup, and he's also Central American, so I like to really lean into the cranky Latin mom with him. And so I would do the whole idea of the Latin mom, if you don't know, aware that it's just like a very stereotypical impression is, the Latin mom saying, y cuando yo me muera, ¿qué van a hacer ustedes babosos? Cuando yo, like, when I die, what are you guys going to do? How are you going to survive? Ni se pueden limpiar los culos, all those things. So I lean into that with him. And I'm looking around at this dirty bar that supposedly, remember those checklists? I cleaned this, I cleaned that. I'm like, what's this purple goo? And I said, I would ask. I'll save you I'll save you the translation. I would ask what would happen to you guys, how you guys would survive without me. But I'm looking at what has happened with 2 weeks without me, so I know. And he's just like dying, being like, "Oh my God, you're such an abuela," and just looking at that and knowing that it sucked, and knowing that I hate it, and having so much fun with it, and being like, this is not it, and I am even more determined. And I think that's the thing, is that I actually have a game plan in place to get out of there. And so you reach that space, you reach that moment where it's like, oh, this is temporary. I'm not stuck here. Now I have the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just almost thrilling, and it makes just how this experience is like comedic and funny and loving. And it's just like, and not loving, I don't know why I said that, and it's, like I always say, really set your level of upset set your level of upset in relationship to your level of surprise. So you're still allowed to be upset, you're still allowed to be annoyed by a situation, but if it's not a surprise that you're going to come into work after 2 weeks and the, things have gone to shit, then like, yeah, I mean, I expected it. So just keep everything in relation. And I live that in a lot of areas of my life. But now, especially with this light at the end of the tunnel, I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, this place sucks. And I knew it. And I know it. And you know it. And they know it. And everyone knows it. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get upset. I'll get a little upset, but not terribly upset. And I'll know, yeah, 9:30 comes, I'm out of here. Bye. And the day that I put in my 2 weeks, if I put in my 2 weeks, bye, with no guilt. And as somebody raised a guilty Catholic, I, I I'm at a place where I don't feel guilt around situations that don't serve me anymore. And I cannot wait to not be there. And I cannot wait to put in my 2 weeks, especially because on top of all the stuff I witnessed and the balls dropped while I was gone, it's like more people are getting fired, more people are getting written up. I was checking in on a coworker today that I haven't seen in a while because I've been doing the show, and also they've been fucking with him and suspending him and writing him up and da da da. And he's like, "Yeah, well, you're not going to see much of me anymore either because I just got fired yesterday." I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Like my whatever little loyalty I have to this place is just gone. Anything I do is out of integrity for my personal character. Whatever I contribute to this place is out of my work ethic and my personal integrity. And there you go. I'm all set up to leave this place, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. So yeah, that's the wrap up on that. And now that the show's ending, I'm gonna still be there a lot more than I want to, but it's just temporary. But speaking of people like making shit happen in their life and doing amazing things, having survived this hospitality industry, last week we did a best of highlights montage show, and one of the guests is my friend Jessica Rom Foster, who I recently, as part of my ADHD diagnosis and treatment plan, along with medication and building up skill sets, she runs a business that helps people with ADHD. It's a Z Health business called the Neurology of Presence, and I recently started her Daily Brain Boost, which is a 15-minute morning check-in, 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday, where we just kind of check in. We do little exercises, focus our eyes, check in our balance, our coordination, do these weird things, amazingly weird. You heard her talk about it last week, and you can go back and hear it again if you want to. And I thought, I'm all about promoting the fuck out of people, and if I'm having a good experience, talking about it. So I am just so ecstatic to not just be reconnecting with Jessica on a friend level and having something to bring us back together as friends, but having something to where like I'm supporting her hustle and she's supporting my livelihood and just my day-to-day life and mental health by having this amazing program, the Neurology of Presence, these Z Health exercises and trainings to get my ADHD brain the skill set it needs to function day to day, to check in without judgment. So I just want to make sure, again, you go to the neurology of presence.com, look up Jessica Rom and Z Health. You will find all you need to know. You can join these check-ins. So there's courses, you come in and it's just via Zoom, 15 minutes a day. And if you can't make it at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can watch the link in the afternoon and do your own independent study. She also has neuro fundamentals where you get to rewire your brain and body for optimal health and optimal performance. I cannot speak any higher of her than I am. She is phenomenal, and just please check her out. See if it works for you. If you know somebody that's struggling with ADHD or seems like they never get this right. They keep making the same mistakes. They're never learning. They're da 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 da. All those things where she's like, wouldn't you learn after 2 times of making the mistake? Some people don't. Some of us, our brains are just wired differently. So if you got a neurospicy friend that needs these types of boosts, send them Jessica's way. All right. And coming our way right now is my amazing guest and current castmate. He is in parade with me. We are rivals on stage, not backstage. It's a love fest. It's a bro fest. He brings out the bro in me, and I probably bring out the princess in him. He is a phenomenal talent, and I just knew from day one, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to get, when I saw him at callbacks, I'm like, I know what role he's going to get, because he was called back for literally every role. I'm like, well, just don't get my role, please, which he didn't. I did. And he is my rival, and we have not enough scenes, but some pivotal scenes together. And even when we're not on stage, our characters are clashing. And it has been such a joy to work with him, to meet him, to have him be part of my first LA experience in theater. He is such a phenomenal talent. He is an actor. He's a stand-up comic. He's a writer. He does film and stage. And he's had, as he says himself, a fuck ton of survival jobs. He's been a bartender, he's been a barista, he's been in the service industry, he's done admin, he's done customer help. He does it all, and his talents just are seemingly endless. He doesn't have a website, which people get it together, but since I am a gay Scorpio with Google, I stalked the fuck out of him and found his backstage profile and saw all of his hidden talents and also his resume. This man is ridiculous. He has done everything from playing Seymour in Little Shop to Jamie in the last 5 years, another Jason Robert Brown, and Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar, and Jesus Christ, what a role! Like, and what a range for all of those characters to go from comedic, character actor to leading man to divinity in human form. That's crazy. He also is hilarious. He's got his amazing presence on TikTok and on Instagram, where he shares just random thoughts, hot takes, which we love hot takes here, and just his humor. He is absolutely wonderful, absolutely charming, and I could just talk about him and with him and around him forever. Please welcome my dear friend, my castmate, the one and only Kyle Caldwell. Hey, Kyle, welcome to the show.
Damn it, Cat.
Man.
I should have seen it coming, man. Should have seen it coming. How you doing, my guy?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, good. Just kicking it on my lunch break, hanging out with good people. And one thing that's also kind of fun, as far as South Park kind of haunted me, like it's not just the Kyle, it's the fact that I'm a ginger. I've been called a daywalker since like that episode came out, like in high school or whatever. So. And also, like the weirdest thing is the more and more I watch the show and I look at Stan's dad, not only does he look like my dad, but my dad kind of slowly morphed into a hybrid of his personality and he doesn't realize it because he doesn't watch the show.
That's hilarious. Just naturally, a natural hybrid. He's
Yeah.
via osmosis, apparently, through you watching the show. That's hilarious. Can I just point out, like, how lovely the reflection is behind you? Like, what gorgeous piece of nature are you surrounded by?
This is my in-laws' backyard in Ojai. And yeah, it's like the most peaceful, pristine place that we tend to get crunk at, like mostly on like July 4ths and stuff. But
Oh,
Ojai, I don't know if you've ever been to Ojai, but like as a whole, like the place is gorgeous. Like there's a something called like a peak moment where like the way that's kind of like described is like the sunset hits some sort of mountain in like this specific way, and the entire skyline just turns like this incredible shade of pink.
that is gorgeous. Well, I will have to keep an eye
Hmm.
out for my invite for next 4th of July.
Yes,
Set a Google
absolutely.
reminder. Oh, that's beautiful. I've never been to Ojai, um, but it is on list of places I want to visit, and it's the weirdest reference ever. But I'm not sure if you remember years ago there was a show called Brothers and Sisters,
Mm-mm.
and they had a family wine business set in Ojai, and I know that Ojai makes some great rosé. So speaking of those pink skies and drinking
Hmm.
rosé, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But you know what? Today's show is not a commercial for Ojai and why you should visit. Today is a commercial for Kyle Caldwell and why you should follow him and support him in all the amazing things he does. So Kyle, let's just rip the band-aid off. And let's ask the famous first question I ask all of my guests on this show. What was your gateway job into being a walking, talking, singing stereotype of an actor surviving and paying bills in a restaurant?
In a restaurant. Well, if we're talking about my first job that's in the service industry, it was Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh,
And that was when I was 16. And it was an interesting experience, especially because the whole, you throw in a dollar and we sing like songs or like pre-written songs. One thing that me and my friend that also worked there at the time would do is for regulars, if they were to throw in like anything over five, we would actually just freestyle like a song on a whim. And of course, like it would depend on whether or not like a manager or supervisor was there in order to make that happen because, we would totally get in trouble for it. We didn't like swear or nothing like that. And, they were in hindsight pretty garbage, but it gave us like an extra five as opposed to like an extra or like $1 or whatever. So um, I don't remember much from that just because, especially in high school, just ADHD to the max. And, the only thing that I like
we know about
truly
that here.
remember is like the theater. Oh God, yeah. And not only that, like a lot of the cast of Parade, like it's our people.
Oh
Not
yeah.
gonna.
Yeah, it's that's why we perform, and that's why performing people are so magical, is because we're just surviving on ADHD. Kinda.
Yeah, survive it as it. And but if we're talking about like the restaurant, if we're talking about restaurants, now that I'm going back in time, my first into like a sit down restaurant was working at Denny's, and it's a chain, and so like I'm sure like we were, I'm sure it's like okay to say names or whatever it is,
Yeah.
but I was a host there, and I was let go because in training to become a server, I had friends come in
Oh.
and they were looking for refills on orange juice. And I just assumed that all refills were free because, water, free refill, soda, free refill, coffee, free refill. Why not juice? And so I just kept giving them like round after round after round of like orange juice. Like they were buying the bar at this point, as far as that goes. And then when the manager realized that, they basically didn't buy the fact that I was so oblivious to that fact. And they thought that I was like helping my friend steal.
Stealing, yeah, because you're
So
stealing from the company. It's like it's fucking orange. It's Minute Maid. Like, calm down. Like, it's not
exactly.
like you're giving underage kids alcohol or like cutting. I get where they're coming from, whatever, but that's just like all that corporate bullshit to where they have to like they will look for any and all excuses and don't really like aren't human about it to be like, oh, you made a mistake, and instead of giving you a warning or this or that, it's just like, no, we're out. You're done. You're done. So like. Interesting. And what an experience too, it
Yeah.
being Denny's, because as a theater kid, were you a theater kid in high school?
Yes. Yes,
So
I
you
was.
so you were both the employee at Denny's and also the annoying customer that would come in at 11:30 after shows.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was just about to say, like, that's when the alcohol comes out, is when the theater nerds show up at like 2 in the morning. Like, but they supply their own.
Yes.
So, if anything, like they're just paying more for extra orange juice because they want their screwdrivers correctly.
Oh, I did not know that part of the story. That's hilarious.
Not that
Wow,
specifically, but part of
that
part of being the theater nerd is the parties amongst like-minded individuals were pretty crazy, not gonna lie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Our cast is a little crazy too. I'm just like I feel so old in our chat group with our cast because it's like, who's going out here? Who's going to? Don't y'all want to go to bed? Y'all ain't got no caffeine at home. You got to put on. Like, what's going on? That's nuts. Even today, they're like talking about what they're gonna party. I'm like, I, I can't. That's why I responded like, guys, I promise you, I'm fun. Just not now and not anytime soon. Someday in the future, but not now and not with this voice. But again, not about me. This is
I
about
went out
you.
with them last night actually, just because our show like went so well, like
Yeah,
on all accounts. Like it just seemed like it was like the best that we've done, probably because we had like those 3 days to recharge our old batteries. And I went out with them to kind of celebrate with them, and just 2 drinks, and I'm paying for it. I don't know if you could tell, but it's also because I've just been like Pedialighting my face like ever since I woke up this morning. Like this cast is an amazing group of people,
yeah.
and they know how to have fun. And I'm doing everything that I can to lie to myself and say that I could keep up.
Exactly. I couldn't. Like, when I come home, I'll have like a drink if it's like, yeah, I'm gonna celebrate whatever. But I could not go like they go to the Brig or wherever and just be after singing and then being in a
Hmm.
loud bar or even just being outside. I'm like, guys, take care of your voices. But then I'm also of the mindset too. Like, I remember I was working an event one time, and this was at the MoMA in New York, and it was like an in-house MoMA event. So it was all the people that worked at MoMA, and it was like this little party, and there were these young women, young employees there, and the event was ending, and one friend was trying to talk the other friend into going out, and this and that, And the friend who was like unsure turned to me and was like, "Sir," and I was like, "First of all, first of all, fuck you." She's like, "Sir, what do you think? Do you think I should go out?" And I said, "Well, how old are you?" And she goes, "Well, I'm 22." And I said, "Oh, baby, yes. Go out. Do it." I was a nun for the first portion of my life. I came to it late and I made up for it. But I said,
Mhm.
in your 20s, you can bounce back as long as it's not becoming a negative habit and not affecting your life. But it's it's a freaking Thursday night. That is college Friday. You're still close enough to college. Like, go out with your friend. You can bounce back. I used to work Sardi's Friday, double on Saturday, go out dancing and drinking Long Island's, and then work brunch because I could. Can't do it
Yeah.
anymore. The thing is, you just got to know when to pull it back. You just got to know when to be like, okay, this is actually unhealthy for me, and you got to know
Hmm.
when you're not 22 anymore. But so yeah, our cast, I'm like, do it, do it, but don't take it as a judgment that I'm not there doing it with you. I went out
Sure.
once. We went out. I went out once with you and them.
Yeah, we talked about the golden age of musicals.
We are. Maybe we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. There's generation gaps, and I am Grandma Methuselah in this cast, and I broke apart a conversation talking about Golden Age musical theaters in a disparaging way, and said my 2 cents on what it is that not necessarily anyone here was partaking in necessarily that I would admit. But let's get back to this podcast. What what is a tough shift? Of all the tough shifts that you have worked and all the roles, because you've been at Cold Stone, you've been a host, you were a server for a second at Denny's, you've bartended, you've been a barista. Of all the hats you've worn and all the tough shifts you've survived, what is a tough shift that just stands out among the rest?
Well, the one that comes to mind, well, there's two of them that come to mind, but the one that I think just kind of edges it out as far as just like tough as a like a shift as a whole was my last bartending shift I ever did. It was fresh out the pandemic. I went out just kind of throwing around my resume to whatever bar was open because I just moved to Ventura officially right after the pandemic. I had no idea where anything was. I saw that there is a stand-up comedy club out in Ventura, and I was like, hey, maybe I could be a bartender there because
Yeah,
I was, especially at the time, I was a little bit more active as trying to get stand-up a little bit rolling. Um, this year, I've been booking a lot more musical theater, so that kind of went on the back burner, but darn, that kind of way. But I thought that being a bartender there would eventually lead to an inn to start like making connections and all that sort of stuff. The person that owns the club also owned a restaurant nearby in the same plaza, um, which is no longer there from what I've heard. Um, and he took me on as a bartender because they desperately needed one. I assumed that the 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 duties of the bartender is the one that it would be anywhere else. You work behind the bar, you make the drinks, you like set them on the counter, and the servers that you've hired to serve would do that.
yeah,
And especially since everything is just reopening up, they didn't even have any people sitting at the bar top that they actually owned. So basically, I was more so like an assembly line of just alcohol that I'm just sending it out. But what was failed to like be explained to me was not only was the bartender responsible for making the alcoholic drinks, he is responsible for making the non-alcoholic drinks, the sodas, the waters, and refilling them. And if need be, and by need be means often, running them. So there has been times where I would have a line of like 20 glasses that needed to be filled with water, all while being expected to make handmade cocktails. You know, putting like it's like putting beer bottles in the ice tray. Like this whole thing was just not up to code. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Bar Rescue. I
Oh, yes.
Every time I walked in there, I was just sitting back and I'm like, this is such a perfect candidate for this place. Like the guy needs to come on there and just cuss dude out and just tell him that like none of this stuff is sanitary. The bar itself had these nasty rancid pipes right behind me, and you don't get used to the smell. You'd think
No.
that after a couple of shit, like you, and I even had a mask on because it was fresh out the pandemic. Did not get used to the smell. Um, so just setting up the scenario for that. Um, my last shift, it all kind of came to like this giant forefront. I was already just like in a bad mood. I've been working there for only a couple of weeks, and I'm just going like, I really need to get out of here ASAP. It's not even worth it for any sort of networking. Um, and I went to use the bathroom, left my phone on the bar,
Oh,
and you know, went to the bathroom and tried to open the door, and I could not do it because the door often locks locks you in, and it was too far away for anybody to really hear. And so I'm just kind of like banging on the door for like a good 20 minutes. And then they asked, like, well, why are there so many tickets that haven't been made yet? Like, because I've been locked in the fucking bathroom that you keep saying is going to get fixed. And then of course, like it's business as usual. I'm making these drinks, I'm running them. And then it was like nonstop, 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 boom, boom, boom. And I can't remember exactly what did it. Um, the manager just kind of like, he said something, and then red hot Irish rage just kind of like took over.
oh, I know it.
And I was just sitting back, just going like, this is unacceptable. This is unsanitary. This shit's going to get shut down. You guys are expecting me to do too much, blah, 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 blah. This place smells nasty, like all this sort of stuff. And then he, then like all of a sudden he just goes like, hey, hey, calm down, Daniel. Like, it's fucking Kyle. I pulled down the mask and I'm like, you
Like from
haven't seen my,
South Park.
exactly. So, so basically what happened is I said, I am finishing up these last drinks and you could close. I'm
Yeah.
done. I
And he,
can't I can't do it. I can't do it and I'm not going to. The only issue was um going back to pick up my last check the next morning because it was
yeah.
kind of walking in like, hey, how y'all doing? All
You
good.
should have walked in with your head high, and you were nice enough to finish those tickets. Because, like, when I reached that point, and like, let me just say, I thought my job sucked. It does. My job
Yeah.
does suck. But this is like those dank, crusty venues that happen to sometimes be performance spaces, not just comedy clubs, but a lot of these like old school institution, hole in the wall performance places that have bars are nasty, and having to put up with that. And like you're basically not even a bartender, you're a service bartender. And so you're not getting any tips because there's nobody sitting at your bar. What was the tip out situation like? What was it? Because you're making the drinks, you're filling the water, you're
Mhm.
filling the soda. The servers know that you are required to help run, which means when someone is required to help, it means they end up doing it. Ask any busser, uh, how much help they get from a server and how much the server just assumes it's the buzzer's job. So, what was your tip out situation in like that? Like, were you making enough to make it worth
Well,
it for a while?
there was a tip out in existence there. I can't remember exactly what it was. I know for a fact that I can't tell if it was below average. I doubt it was above average because if it was, then I may have bit the bullet a little bit more. Whatever the tip out was, it was just not worth it. And
Yeah,
from what I remember of the staff, like everybody on the staff, which is typically how it goes, was cool as shit. You know, they weren't withholding anything, like as far as like tipping me out. They were always very communicative. They were nice. They were also very understanding. They're just going like, dude, we get it. We work here too. We know exactly like the issues and, so I don't know how many people did what I did as far as walking out, but I know for a fact that going through a lot of those conversations with those people, they're just going like, there are definitely times I just want to throw down the apron and walk out.
That's like when you should. I had a conversation with my current boss a few months ago, very similar to that. I did not quit because I did not have the resources to recover from it. And it's just like when you know that a place is not going to get any better, like you just have to kind of like I say all the time, you gotta set up your upset, you gotta with your level of surprise. And so it's just like one of those things where it's like it just fucking sucks and they all suck. And you've not gone back to service industry since then.
No. Another reason was another reason probably why I was so crabby on that day too is the fact that there it's the constant standing and this weird stigma that sitting down is somehow looked at as unprofessional in the service industry. Like it's looked at as lazy. I'm going like, you guys are going to be surprised as fuck when you figure out what an office is. That is
I
literally all you do, and it's completely professional. So, like, just being on my feet for like 6 to 8 hours, like in a day, it my body just didn't want to do it anymore. So like, especially just with that last experience, I was like, I think I'm good. So I started
Yeah.
shopping around with other opportunities that would allow me to sit down. And my next job was doing a customer support for online and over the phone for a tax preparation software, which actually led into a really entertaining story of dealing with a boomer that just could not figure out the internet. I
Oh,
told
share
that
it.
story on this patio actually uh, about 3 years ago on TikTok, and it blew up, and it gave me an audience on TikTok with like 3 million likes. So it's kind of one of those everything happens for a reason kind of things
Yeah.
because
Do you mind sharing it for our listeners? Just if you want to do it quickly or however you want to share the story.
oh yeah. Well, the TikTok itself is honestly funnier because especially because I'm holding it and I'm going through the rage. There's some dramatic camera shaking that was unintentional. But basically, the story is this: I worked at a cloud-based tax preparation software. So people do their taxes by logging onto the internet, and everything is just stored in the cloud. And not only is it for just everyday people, but it's also for tax preparers. This tax preparer called in one day, and he said, "I can't log in to my account." And I said, "Okay, well, is it because like you forgot your passwords?" Like, I don't know my username or password. I said, "All right, well, there's a link at the top right hand corner of the website to retrieve your username and your password." I don't see it. It's right where you would. It's like right next to where you would type in your username and password. I don't see it. Do you see our website? No. What do you see? A picture of my two grandchildren. I said, "Are you looking at your desktop, sir?" He says, "What's a desktop?" I say, "Okay, um, I need you to open a browser." "What's a browser?" "It's the internet, sir." "Do you use a blue E or a blue compass or, God forbid, a green globe to access the internet?" And he says, "I see a blue E." "All right, cool. Click on the blue E." Then I walk him to get to the website, and then I say, "All right, it's up at the top right hand corner. Click on the link, and it'll send a link to reset your password through your email." So he clicks on the link and he goes, "Now what do I do?" I say, "You got to go to your email so you could click on the link." He says, "I can't get to my email." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Because my email is on my phone and I'm talking to you on my phone, you fucking moron." And So
Oh my God.
first off, I'm just trying to help the guy, and he has a lot of gall
Yeah.
to accuse
Sounds like
me
it.
of being a moron because I assumed that he knew how to get to the email in other ways than using his phone. But then it was at that moment that it clicked because at this point I'm on the phone with him for like probably about like 25 minutes, just trying to walk him to this point. And it hit me. I'm like, this guy is trusted to do people's taxes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it it just seems criminal to me. It's like giving a blind man a driver's license. You know, like I don't know how he got it in the first place, but like we really need to test him again. Um,
The
so
world is full of equalizers. The world is full of great equalizers, and this man can do taxes, which amazing, but it can't do the internet. And it's like, well, now everything is online, and like your emails don't actually live in your phone. They live in the same cloud as the files that you're preparing taxes for. But it's you can have a skill set, and people just assume, oh, if he's an accountant, he must be intelligent. And it's like, no, I say this all the time. Like I've worked with some incredibly talented people in a restaurant who literally cannot fold a napkin. Who literally, I'm like, it's like Joey speaking French. She's like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." Like I teach them how to do the napkin, and it's just like they show me. I'm like, that looks. What is that? That looks like what the napkin after a customer has, run it all over their dirty little faces and hands and thrown it on the floor. Like, and I show them step by step. All right, okay, boom, boom. And then I'm like, you know what? You go polish silverware. I'll do the napkins because it's just everyone has a talent and the world is full of equalizers. And it sounds like the internet is this guy's equalizer. It's that time of year. I know I should wait till after Halloween, but I don't want to wait to let you know that I'm coming back to Feinstein's at the Nico on Sunday, December 21st at 5 p.m. with Holiday Test Drive 13 Sparkle and Joy. It is going to be an uplifting, loving, reminiscent, beautiful, hilarious show where I share what I've been up to this year, where I share memories of Christmas pasts. I poke fun at my family, share crazy, crazy holiday stories, touching memories, and sing a few songs. And I'm so excited because this year I'm debuting a song written just for me, written just for Holiday Test Drive, written by my friend G. Enrique, who has been my music director for many years and who I go to get my tracks. And we're going to be debuting our song Sparkle and Joy, written by him and Anthony Justin Long. And I can't wait to share that with you. And you shouldn't wait to get your tickets. Get your tickets today by going to FeinsteinsSF.com to get your tickets now for Sunday, December 21st at 5 p.m. at Feinstein's at the Nico in San Francisco, our 13th year. I can't wait to share these songs and these stories and all of my beautiful sparkle and joy. I will be in fishnets and heels and sequins. Oh my goodness, keeping Christmas bright and gay. Get your tickets today. I can't wait to see you, San Francisco.
But the thing is, like, it's not just that it's like this guy is trusted to do other people's taxes. This guy has
Yeah.
been doing taxes on the same software that he can't get access
Oh,
to. And I understand not knowing, like, forgetting your password or forgetting to save it inside your browser, but it's just like, how did you get that far without understanding that Internet Explorer is the internet, that kind of thing? But there's more. So after it subsided, the whole like he just called me a fucking moron, but I'm going to push through it because I've already wasted a half hour. And I keep getting comments on this video like periodically on TikTok. They're just going like, how did you not just like hang up on him, especially after he called you a fucking moron? And I'm like, this dude is just going to call back and he's going to give it to somebody else is going to have to deal with it. I've
yeah.
already gone this far. Let's just push through it. It can't be much longer, right? Nay, nay. So I asked him to put it on speaker so that I could help him just walk through it on there. He refused. I can't remember what his reasoning was, but it was something about like privacy, like he was in public or something, and he's just like, I'm not going to put it on speaker because of such and such. And so I said, all right, we're going to have to access. your email through the computer that you are currently staring at. So what's your email? He says at gmail.com. So I tell him to go to gmail.com. And then he says, now what do I do? I said, input your username and password, sir. He says, I don't know that. So because he doesn't want to put the phone on speaker, and because I don't want to hand this off to somebody else, I walk him through recovering his username and password for his Gmail so then he can then recover his username and password for our software, which took just a little under an hour.
I mean,
And
if you're on the clock, why not go down that rabbit hole? Like, this could be a character you create someday. This could be, I mean, it clearly created content for you. Like, why not go down that rabbit hole?
yeah, and like it created content in the moment. It was a very, very slow day. So when they
Yeah.
realized what was going on, they were just like, it was a really small mom and pop shop. So there was only like three other people in like the building then, but they damn near had their popcorn out. They were just like standing around my desk and just watching me struggle and just like, laughing their ass off just as quiet as possible, just to, not make things worse. But I do think that that particular incident is what gave me a bump in pay and promoted me to supervisor, just like that particular moment. Another part of it was like we also sold the cloud-based software to tax preparers, and at the time I was leading in sales too. But I think that was the moment where they went like, this guy's good. We're gonna keep him around as much as possible. And I stuck with them for probably about 3 years.
Nice.
But yeah.
Nice. And I want to give some context just so that way it doesn't sound completely ageist, this story out of nowhere. The context was his TikTok was a stitch where this woman was making fun of Gen Z and like the younger generation for not knowing how to write in cursive and not knowing how to do address in envelope and this and that. And so this was the context because I think it's important to have both. Like I said, the world has great equalizers. I work with young kids both in this production and both in restaurants. And sometimes I'm like, wow, you just said that, or wow, you don't know how to do that. But then there are things that I don't know how to do. And then there's older generations that like, yes, they can do X, Y, and Z, and they can do this by, in their head, and they can do everything else by hand. But do they know how to use the internet? So I think it's important that if you're going to poke fun at the younger generation should be able to poke fun at you, and then we come together and help each other out and sit with each other and teach each other how to do TikTok dances and sit with each other and teach each other how to balance a checkbook. Like, I think just so we know, it's all in fairness. We've had, our guest in the past, John Vincent Mahady, was talking about his experience of having been in this industry for, I think it was like 5 decades, and dealing with younger generations as they just kept getting younger, and
Mhm.
technology was changing and couldn't split a bill in her head. And just funny, go back and listen to John Vincent Mahady. But just so that way there's context and people don't think this is purely ageism at all. So just so that is said, that is also sounds like an incredible tough shift adjacent story. Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuities not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF Shift Podcast.com. All right, back to the show. Now, I want to talk about you as kind of like a performer. Like, I wanted to kind of dive in a little more towards your all the hats you wore as in the hospitality industry. But as many as you did, like I said, you barista, bartender, server, all those things. You also kind of do the same in your performing world. You because you don't have a website, but I stalk my
Yeah.
fucking guests, and I found your backstage profile. So that's how I know that you've done everything from Seymour to Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ Superstar. Which Jesus fucking Christ, what a role! That's nuts.
Jesus.
It's nuts. And so you do all these things and you wear all these hats. You're an actor, a singer. You play the piano. I see.
I dabble at this point. I haven't kept up with my instruments, and honestly, I probably should take it off my resume. But I could play piano and I could play guitar because at one point I was a keyboardist for a ska punk hybrid band called Counterfeit Change back in the 2010s,
This
and
is exactly where I'm going with this. Is this the same thing
uh,
as the boy band?
no, the boy
Oh,
band is something different. The boy band was a boy band cover band, and we kind of got halted because of the pandemic, and it just didn't pick up afterwards. But
okay.
that was a very fun experience, just because with like we got like a whole bunch of regular spots in San Diego because the management company was based out there. But we toured all up and down California, like Bay Area, different spots in Los Angeles. Also, but my favorite ones were like the random towns that like are just kind of like holes in the walls, like
Yeah,
places that like would never have access to go see the actual bands in person unless they have like a 3 hour drive and like drop like hundreds of dollars, because you get them the right amount of buzz, they completely forgot that we weren't them. They
yeah,
were just like screaming and having like a blasty, blasty blast the entire time that we were going on there. And it was a really fun gig, especially because since it was 90s pop boy band, it was really just a matter of learning harmonies of songs that everybody already knew, and then just pop locks here and there. Didn't have to learn any sort of instruments. Didn't have to worry about like um, writing original stuff. It was just like a really. It was one of the more fun paychecks I've ever had.
yeah. And it's performing. So whether it's you're focusing on stand up, whether you're focusing right now on musical theater, when you can have a side hustle that is also a main hustle, to where it's like
Hmm.
this is phenomenal. I get to perform and pay bills, and in these small towns, whether they think you're the real band or not, or whether, like you said, they're so a little starved for things that you are a celebrity to them, and you are like, how cool that this person gets to travel, albeit just California. How many people do you know travel at least California, let alone anywhere, to be able to have a job that cool and interact with that, like to touch that many people. Which
Hmm.
reminds me of another TikTok you posted that you shared with me, just like, hey, you want to check these out? And it's about gatekeeping in our industry of performing, and especially like fandoms. Like for me, fandoms ruin so much. And I'm like, I'm glad you're there and you support and you buy in and you pay these wages, you pay towards these wages. You don't pay the wages, you pay for the product, you get the product then pays for the wages. But that gatekeeping mentality, and not just in musical theater, not just anything. If someone wears a rock band shirt, like name 5 songs, name da da da, and somebody had posted like, oh, you're a Broadway fan, name a show that isn't Hamilton or Wicked, and you stitch
Hmm.
that, and you brought up some really good points. And I feel like what you just said about going into these small towns, reaching these people, and bringing art to them, it kind of like it just only emphasizes what you shared. So will you share like what your take is on those big blockbuster musicals and people poo-pooing on them just for being successful, and like and what they do for our industry?
Oh yeah. Well, just to put it in context and just to keep all things fair, after stitching that video, it was brought to my attention like weeks down the line that her saying that was actually a parody of gatekeepers in musical theater.
Oh,
So she didn't actually hold that assessment. She was playing a character. And so that's why when I opened up, I was just kind of like, are you okay? Because, it doesn't seem like it. Like theater kid to theater kid, who hurt you?
yeah.
Um, but but yeah, she was actually parroting that particular gatekeeper because there is and I think it comes from theater kids getting like a bad rep or getting picked on in high school and they end up getting defensive. Um, that we got to keep this little thing of ours to ourselves because we're getting mocked for it and they wouldn't appreciate it anyway. But it's like with any fandom, like you said, like name five songs, that kind of thing. They She was basically arguing that like you need to know like Bridges of Madison County or Godfather, the revival tour, like just random stuff like deep in the archives, which are great,
Yeah.
but you know not every person that shows up to theater is theater kids. They're not those like people are coming to go see those shows to be entertained and they want to see musical theater for no other reason than that. Um,
Yeah.
so to talk down on somebody for being a fan of Wicked or Hamilton for no other reason than it's popular and can't rebuttal with any other musicals is it- it's it's doing more harm than good because like at the end of the day, another like one of the points that like I was really kind of standing by is like at the end of the day, musical theater is expensive. It's expensive to put up,
Yeah.
and therefore, when you're talking about professional like stuff, especially if you're talking about Broadway, the tickets go up, and it's a lot of reasons, especially in the comments to that video in particular. They're like, I want to see musical theater, but it's $200 a ticket. I can't do it. Like, how do you
Yeah.
justify it? And the only justification is actors need to get paid, the people that design the sets, put up the sets, directors need to get paid, all of that stuff. So it's not just going to like nobody.
Yeah.
But since you are dropping that much money and you don't know that much about musicals to begin with, it's an investment to go to a Phantom of the Opera or to go to a Jersey Boys or Wicked or Hamilton because that you're going to get your money's worth, especially if it's like a, professional one.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to see musical theater on a consistent basis like that. To have that frame of reference, so just go for the best one. And also, a point that wasn't made in that TikTok, but one that came up in conversations about that TikTok is, you know, there's no way that theater could be filled with 100% theater kids. In fact, the majority of them aren't theater kids because if you're a true theater kid, you have no money.
Yeah.
All money, all money is going to dance classes. All money is going to, voice training, going to acting classes. So like obviously, like if you're in a better financial situation to go see theater on a consistent basis to fill up Broadway's like theater with 100% theater kids, there's just no possible way of doing it. And I honestly get a lot more. Um, I feel more validated when I get I want to get respected by my peers, especially in like, musical theater goes and,
Yeah.
like the theater kids and, they have their opinions, they have their likes and dislikes, and I'm all taking all that in. But my favorite validation are from people that aren't them. Like, some of the best compliments that I've ever gotten was like a husband saying like, man, I, I thought I was going to hate it. Like my wife dragged me here, but I actually really liked it. You did
Yeah.
great. I'm like, thank you. You know,
You reach
so
someone,
good.
and this could be their gateway, or if this is the only show you saw or they saw, at least it was one that left such a lasting mark. And I've done bookkeeping for years, and when I was in New York, I worked for various producers. Um, and you would see that there was certain shows that had like they were fan favorites. They had like this cult following, these composers that this and that, and the concepts of these shows, people just absolutely love them online and this and that. But when it came time to fill a house, much to your point, it couldn't. And so they had all this online success. And then when it got to Broadway or off Broadway, uh, filling the house because they didn't reach out to the non theater or to the outside of the fan base. And you're right. We if we could fill up houses with just super fandoms, great. But also, why not just have it be for everyone? Why
Yeah.
gatekeep when this could be someone's gateway in to musical theater and to performing? And I've seen super fans that have gone to, my aunt is one for Jersey Boys. She's seen every tour that's come through San Francisco. I went and saw closing with her in New York. She sends cookies to the cast. And like when I meet people who've done Jersey Boys, I'm like, oh, do you know a Cheryl? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, she sends us those Hawaiian cookies. I'm like, that's my aunt. So the fandoms, they do have an impact, but like, share the wealth, share the art, because we're doing this not just for you, not just for ourselves, because it's what we feel in doing Parade. We had a really intense and really diving deep into rehearsals and getting the show on its feet. But what are we doing that for if we don't get in front of an audience? And as soon as we got that audience, it changed everything. So we can't just be doing it for
Hmm.
ourselves in creating theater. We have to be doing it for a greater good, for a broader audience. Now, I'm doing a time check because, in true spirit of this show, you are on your lunch break and you need to get back to work.
Yes.
So I want to give you a chance. I know you have something that you want to promote because guess what? By the time you're listening to this, parade's over. Sorry. But we've been talking it
Yeah.
up. And Kyle for LA not being a theater town, Kyle works a fucking lot. So you can see him. And I'm going to let him have the floor now to where you can follow him on TikTok and socials, and also about your web series that you have coming up.
Yes. Well, as far as theater goes, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself once parade is over, but we're going to find out.
Yeah.
I got some callbacks lined up, so we're going to see where that goes. But nothing set in stone because it's also the holiday season.
Yeah.
This is the time where like it's just a total flat line for everybody. Um, Follow me on Instagram at Kyle G. Caldwell. That's where I do the majority of promoting when it comes up. That goes for musical theater, it goes for music, it goes for stand up, all that sort of stuff. I'm way more popular on TikTok at Kyle Caldwell 2, because apparently the first one beat me to it. Um, but check that one out. I drop random nonsense periodically that may or may not be entertaining. Um, and as far as the web series, we are currently in the process of filming the first completed work that I've ever written. Like I've been trying really hard to find the project that would really keep my ADHD ass in my seat and just really go for it. And this is definitely one. It's inspired by my co-creator. His name's Michael Carlito. He was actually in Counterfeit Change, so like we ended up coming back together to put this whole uh, put this whole show together. And we are currently looking for backers. Anybody that wants to throw money at a good project. The project is simply this. It is a sitcom based in a failing gym out in Southern California. And it follows the outlandish characters that come in and out of the gym and the ones that work there too. It has, the first season is already on paper. We got a lot of the cast all ready to go. Had to take a backseat of filming because of Parade. And actually, some of the cast of Gym Rats were there yesterday, and they adored it,
Oh.
and they adored you too, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
mhm. And but it's especially since it takes place in a gym, it opens up a lot of storytelling that I think is very funny, especially to be looked at as kind of like the sarcastic, cynical way that my writing kind of works. But we touch on what is true toxic masculinity, what it looks like, what isn't. toxic masculinity, gender norms. See what else? What else was it? Like a lot of capitalism because it's like a failing gym, and
Yeah.
the competition that has to deal with that. You know, and a lot of it's just kind of like finding your tribe amongst like different kinds of people.
Yeah.
So, once this thing gets up and rolling, like the people that we have already cast in it, they are hilarious. If I were to pitch it, I would say that it's a nice little hybrid of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Um, let's see, there's I'm incredibly inspired by BoJack Horseman and their writing, so I'm sure there's a little bit of emulation in there. But I'd say as a whole, it's kind of like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, shot kind of like Scrubs, based in a gym.
Love that. Love that. And as soon as it's ready, we are more than happy to promote the shit out of it on this show. Again, in for the sake of time, before I let you go, we like to leave the show with on a positive note, with a positive review. And so what we do is instead of talking about people that make our lives harder, we're going to do a shout out today. I want somebody in your life, personal, professional, restaurant world, whatever, who has made a tough shift easier for you that you just want to give a quick shout out today and say thank you.
A tough shift easier. You talk about just like in the working world or just in general?
Your choice, your adventure. So somebody who's made a tough shift for you, whether that's in your personal life, professional life, hospitality life, any of that, you just want to say, hey, thanks.
Well, recently, it would definitely be my wife, because especially with uh, the travel from my day job down to Venice, and with the show before that down to Crescenda, down in that area.
Yes.
It was just a lot of time of like not seeing each other. It was a lot of time in the car, and you know, definitely somebody that I could call in those moments, like on those drives where I'm just going like, man, I just want to sleep. I want to like do nothing. This is literally like theater is what I truly believe why I am supposed to be here. But getting there is just so exhausting,
Yeah.
and the drives get so lonely, and I miss her like crazy. And not only that, she does, her stuff in theater too. She's an actress as well. She is a music director, and she's been getting a lot of gigs with that too, especially up in Ventura County. So, she understands, and she's never questioned any sort of like, I guess trying to think of the word, like never questioned if this is like if like these times away is just like necessary. She's been my biggest cheerleader and like picks me up whenever I need that,
Yeah.
especially in those moments. So yeah, I think the tough shift would be the travel to get back and forth to where I want to be, which is on the stage, and the person that gets me through it is my wife,
Wonderful. And remind me her name one more time.
Darian.
Darian. Well, Darian, there you have it. Thank you for all that you do. This episode has been for you. Clearly, the world needs more people like you, and we appreciate it. This has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.